In this episode, I want to talk about the concept of a game plan and what it means to me to like know how you want to play the game. It kind of, for me, the definition of a game plan is like knowing what's going to happen before it happens. You need to like have a plan on how to move forward and a plan like how you want to play and what items you want to buy. This also goes back to like picking your hero. You kind of need to have a plan for what you want to be doing in order to know if it's going to be good or not. I'm going to show you a Magnus game I played. I'll jump into the replay, where already from the picking stage, I can tell that the enemy team has very little tower push. It's very hard for them to play aggressive on us. So I know my game plan is going to be we want to like sit back and outfarm them, because they have heroes that are strong to fight in the early game, but they're going to like scale off later. I pick Magnus, and I know that in this game I'm going to defend towers. I know that because of the nature of our heroes, Wisp and Jug. Jug is very hard to gank. He can spin and become magic immune, right? So people tend to like not really trying to kill this hero. I know our Wisp is pretty easy to gank, but he's going to play safe and farm jungle, so he's going to play like very defensive on the map, which means that it's hard to reach. Especially for the enemy team, they have kind of slow heroes like Faceless Void and Kunkka, who they don't really move around really fast. They're not going to be heroes that get like blink early into the game and like smoke on you in the jungle and stuff. So already here I know like the items I want to buy is probably I just want to tank up in the early game. I'm buying right now is Ring of Protection to get armor against Venge, who does only physical damage pretty much with the wave and the buff from agility. This hero is mostly just going to do physical damage to you. And also Void, who's going to try and hit me a lot, so I want to like tank up more in the lane. I think mangoes are really cost efficient items. A lot of people buy Ring of Regen in the early game, but if you look at the cost, mangoes, if you buy 3 of them, is 1.8 HP regen for like 210 gold. And this one is 1.5 for 175. So without doing like the precise math, it's like the same amount of HP regen for the gold. And mangoes you can also eat for mana. So because I don't want to buy mech or anything in this game, I don't really want to buy Ring of Regen. So I know I want to get HP regen because it's going to be like a slow trade lane. Void actually has a Ring of Regen, but he probably doesn't need the mangoes. So that's why I buy this item. You can also see in my quick buy, I queued up way too many bracers. But at least I'm going to buy a couple of bracers, because I know, like I said, I'm going to be the one getting ganked. I can expect, like, looking at our heroes, probably at least when Kunkka is like level 6 or 7, he's going to TP bottom and try and kill me, because that's like the only thing he can do. He can't really run into our jungle and kill Jug or Wisp. I don't think that's going to happen. So he can farm, but he knows that we're going to like win on farming, so he wants to go bottom and kill me. My game plan this game, like I said, is just defending towers and making sure my carry is farmed. It might sound like it's very simple, but you need to like think of how you achieve that. So I know because I'm going to be fighting, I need to buy items that let me fight. I also need to make sure that my 2 carries are farming all the time, which means that I can't also be farming. I need to play aggressive. Skipping forward in this replay, you can see that I think we even win the lane. I think we do pretty well. Regardless, you can see the Kunkka is doing very well. I think he will win mid against Wisp. So you can see already at 3 or 4 minutes, Wisp is just farming jungle all the time. He's just completely not even laning anymore. And at this time, somewhere here, they try to poke. You see Darkwill and Kunkka, they run in there and try and ward, they try and kill him, but it's like not really leading to anything. I think even if this guy getting X or something, it's very hard to kill him when he can always tether away to creeps, and he has a Helm of the Dominator, he can always like tether away. It's really annoying. Somewhere around this point, if I remember correctly, yeah, I jumped a little bit too far. Here, I want to show you. So from my vision, I see the Kunkka is mid, you know, like he's killing our wave, he's pushing our tower, but it's way too early for me to go and defend this tower. If I would TP in right now, he would just probably come and kill me. Instead, I know I want to play like as aggressive as possible in my lane to force their heroes to come on me, so they can't like spend time chasing and trying to kill my Wisp. You can see me and Rubik is trading. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware that Darkwill is coming, but it's like the same concept that I want to bring heroes to my lane, because I'm not the hero that needs to get farm and levels. It's my other 2 heroes. I think my Rubik dies. I even get ganked by this DD Kunkka, and I die. I've managed to kill the Venge. But even though all this happens, it's not a big of a deal, because like we're already spawning. I don't even think we miss a lot of creep kills. And during this time, my safe lane instead managed to kill their offlaner, who's starting to fall really far behind. My Wisp is just farming, and like we're not losing any towers. So my game plan is kind of being completed. I'll skip ahead a little bit, it's maybe like 11 or 12 minutes. Here, at this point, you can tell that they've got on our top tower, which is expected. When Void leaves the safe lane to go push our tower, it's really hard for us to defend. Like I said, we just want to be farming. and they start pushing our mid tower. So immediately I have a bunch of strength items. I'm like 1500 HP. It's pretty hard for them to kill me. I run over and I pretty much just plan to sit here until I die, giving my team as much space and possible, time and space as possible to farm and get a lot of items. I think we managed even to take their mid tower, which is really good. I mean, we're winning this game pretty hard. And you can see this time. This is like my first big timing in the game as well, that I have my blink. So right away, as I get my blink, I tell my team, go fight mid. Like, I tell them, we can win this fight, I have RP. We go bottom. Okay, now we start running mid. Unfortunately, my jug is a little bit hasty. But even though I get a free man RP, we kill these people, I think they reload him out. They're gonna come back and clean up everyone. And at this point in the game, like the enemy team has kind of lost their timing. We won our first team fight. My carry, my Wisp has an Orchid, my Jug has like a Manta. My farm doesn't really matter, but I'm still pretty farmed. And in order for them to win, they would need like a lot more time and items, because now we like hit our timing. So yeah, that was like the game plan for this game. Some game plans, I think you need to aim more for the late game. You need to like understand at what point you can fight them or not. In this game, I know pretty much that when my Jug and my Wisp is like level 12 and I have my Blink, that's like our timing. So that's the game plan that I'm like aiming for. In this replay, I want to show you, I'm playing Centaur, and I want to talk about how to create a game plan for myself. I know already in the early game, looking at the heroes, I'm laning against Disruptor Morphling. These heroes have a shit ton of harass. This spell he's going to put on me like 24/7, and he buys a bunch of mangoes. So I know that I just want to tank up and have a lot of regen. I don't even buy Quelling Blade in this lane. I think Centaur already has really high attack damage. And Morphling as a hero is like one of the strongest heroes at last hitting in the game. So if you counter that by buying a lot of damage, if you can deny against him, the hero is like really, really sad, since his strength is the last hit. If you can beat him at like his own game, he doesn't really have anything. I'm already quick buying Bracer. I'm probably going to buy like 2 or 3 Bracers, because I just want to tank up as much as possible. I know in this lane with the Lina that has set up for me, we're going to be able to kill them as well. So that's like another reason I'm not buying Quelling Blade, because if we can kill them, that means that they have to try and kill us. Like, if one lane is playing to kill, you can't just farm. Like, you're going to end up getting killed. So you kind of have to fight back or try and kill the enemy back. Some games, of course, like maybe I'm playing against Faceless Void and we don't have a stun, we're never really going to be able to kill them, but then he also can't kill me. So that's like a fair trade, we're just going to farm. Against Morphling though, it's really hard to only farm, because he hits really hard. Level 1 it's not that bad, but once he gets like level 3 and level 5, he gets so much agility that you need to be killing him. Even now level 1, we're going for some crazy dive, not working out unfortunately, so this wasn't that great, but well, at least I get a career kill. But you can tell just by this lane that we're just constantly fighting. I'm just gonna keep buying Bracers, keep buying HP regen. I'm not buying Quelling Blade. They're gonna get really pressured. I think we're gonna kill them a lot of times if I remember correctly. Linus is trading here, we go on Morphling, he dies, you know, we keep trading, blah blah blah. Everybody's dying. I think at this point, if you look at last hits, this guy is really sad. He's getting really pressured all the time, because I just have 20 HP regen, 2 Bracers. Every time I get next to him, I spam my W. There's no way he can like stay in this lane. I think he even dies here again. Even though he's like strengthening up, it's not gonna save him. So like my early game plan, I think is complete. I won my lane. Looking at the heroes, I want to buy Hood, because they have so much magic damage. All 5 heroes pretty much only did magic damage. So that's why I buy the Ring of Health as well. I think sometimes you can buy this item like and then go Blink, which is fine, but you don't really want to do it unless you plan to buy Vanguard or Hood afterwards. But in this game, because we have such a good game and I'm so far ahead, I don't think like I need to rush a Blink. I can finish the Hood no problem, but I do know I need to buy a Blink later, because they have all these like escape heroes like Bat and Void Spirit and Morph are very quick and hard for me to catch. And even if I would like try run at them with Stampede or something, they're probably going to be able to dodge my spell without a problem. I know in this game, because of our heroes Nature's Prophet and Ricky, we're not really heroes that want to farm like jungle all game. We're not like some Terrorblade or Spectre that's going to want to sit back and farm. So that's like another reason why I buy Blinks, so that we can play aggressive and make moves. The enemy team has like very little tower push. They have very greedy heroes. I think Batrider, for example, is like a hero that's not greedy in the sense that he's like a strong weak laner, I mean, but because we have no save for him, like if the game would go to 40 minutes and it's completely even, that means that every time he lassos somebody in my team is just gonna die. There's like no play around it. But instead we have other tools, like we have a lot of bursts, we have a lot of team fight with Phoenix. My Rick is gonna like immis around with diffuser and kill people, so I know we can play aggressive without a problem. Skipping what's happening in the laning phase now, if I jump ahead, I think to 12 minutes something, I just finished my blink. And if I wanna buy blink, pretty much the only thing I do before getting my blink is to farm my blink. You don't really want to be fighting too much if you can avoid it. I stay in this bottom area even after we take the tower. I don't really give a shit if my like Natures is dying or if my Rick is dying, because I know that as soon as I get my blink I can make moves and I can have impact. If I try and like, let's say I try and TP top and try fight them, I'm just gonna like do nothing because my hero is so bad without a blink against the heroes. As soon as you get your blink, I think another good thing to do real quick is just to call for a smoke gank. It's very simple, like the enemy team is not gonna expect it. In this case we just kill Earth Spirit. But it's better than like getting your blink and then showing it on the lane and then they're gonna be scared anyway. Because of this kill, I think we can also pressure, we get another kill, we pressure mid tower. It starts like the pressure from our team instantly instead of waiting for something else to happen. So pretty much the early mid game is going really well for us. I can show you my game plan for the mid game or like the later parts of the game. It's pretty much that I just want to sit in trees and I never want to show. And the only farming I'm gonna do is by farming jungle. So you see, I TP to this tower to try and set up a Morphling. Unfortunately, this guy is playing like a little bit too safe. I think here he's walking out, and I'm asking for TPs from my team. But nobody is ready to TP in, from at least Lina, and Ricky could, but he's not listening to me, unfortunately, so that didn't happen. But all you want to do when you play these Blink heroes, like you're playing Centaur Axe, when you have the potential to one-shot enemy people, like the biggest strength you have over them is that they don't know where you are on the map, so they always have to play scared. But if they're always playing scared, they're not farming, so you're gonna like win the game. So eventually they have to show or do something. So what you want to do is just predict where they're going and try and like hide in the trees and be ready to jump them whenever they show up. So like basically the game plan for this game throughout the entire game is that I just want to hunt. I want to make sure that we're ahead. Looking at our team, like we're not gonna like win by just farming. So I want to make sure that the pace is high, that we push a lot of towers with Nature's Prophet. We're gonna win team fight with Phoenix. Me and Ricky can control the map with like Invis and Blink, and we want to make sure that we try and like end the game or have a really big lead once we enter the late game. To give one more example of me just how I play with my Blink as well, is that skipping ahead under this one period, you can just follow my movement on the map and see that I'm never showing on any lane. And now we get another kill here. So we kill this bat right at the top. And as soon as we get this kill, I know probably somebody in their team is gonna go bottom and farm. Because they saw me top, and they're like, oh look, Centaur is top, bottom seems pretty safe. So the first thing I do right away is just run straight. I run through our jungle in order to dodge like the enemy's wards. I try and be sneaky. I know like I don't need to be there instantly. I can farm like a few camps on the way. But the most important thing is that I am at that area in the map where the enemy is gonna be. So I run over, I tell my Lina, come kill somebody bottom. The Earth Spirit starts farming. I get a free kill basically. He has no idea if I ran to bottom or if I'm still hiding top. The Morphling is also playing scared. Mid they're playing scared, and we get this kill. And after this, you can tell by my hero as well that I just sit in trees and farm. They don't know once again if we're going top or if I'm staying bottom. Like they have to play safe. This guy's playing safe. This guy's playing safe. Of course, now in this scenario I'm bottom, but we might as well just have been top, like killing this guy. So he has to run away as well. And now the enemy team is just all together, and we're farming a lot more than them. To easiest explain when you want to be showing or not is to understand if the enemy has to be scared of you. If you can blink and stun a guy either together with your teammates or even better alone, that means that they always have to respect that you're not showing on the map. If they don't know if you're like top, mid or bottom or like what you're doing, they have to play really scared and they have to play together, which means that your team instead can farm a lot more than them and you'll pull ahead and win the game. Some games, if they have really tanky heroes, for example, or if they have heroes, or if you're like on a hero that doesn't have a lot of damage. Let's say in this game, instead of me having Lina and Phoenix, I have like let's say I have Bane and Disruptor. Maybe those heroes are the ones that are supposed not to be showing, and instead I push lanes all the time, because Bane and Disruptor, they're like the ones setting up ganks, and they're the one like catching heroes, and I need to be the one pushing out lanes. But because I have Lina and Phoenix, two heroes that love to shove lanes and love to farm and want to get levels and experience, instead I can just sit in the trees and don't show all the time. And because they have like this Morphling, Earth Spirit, Void Spirit, all these heroes die extremely easy to use me blink and stunning them, I know like it's really important that they have to be scared and that they're not farming and running around and doing what they want, so I'm never gonna show. The best part about a lot of these like strength heroes as well is that you have high HP regen, so it's not really a problem for you to farm jungle and then to still be full HP for fighting. I think it's a good way to either have a regen item like a vanguard or a hood, or to buy some salves and just carry in your backpack, so you can farm jungle and still be ready to gank people, like sitting next to their lane and just waiting. I think to summarize, it's just like if they have to be scared of you, don't show, and if they don't care if you're showing, just push lanes. In this replay, I want to show you how I set up a game plan for a game when I have two farming cores that I know are not going to like join the game, but I have two supports that want to play really aggressive with me. So I'm playing Pangolier against a Juggernaut, which is really good for me. I can jump away from his spin. I know it's like going to be a safe lane for me. Maybe he's pretty strong at like last hitting and farming, but at least I know like I can probably be left 1v2, or I can like do what I want and I'm not going to die. They have a DP position 5, which I don't think I expected. It's not very common, but it's not necessarily something that's like bad. It's just something that I don't think people play a lot. I think the reason I even picked Pango is because I think it's pretty good against DP. Ended up being in the lane against me. So you can tell that I have Earth Spirit and Pango against DP Juggernaut. We're like a little bit weaker in the lane, but I know my game plan for this lane is just I want to farm as much as I can. I don't really care about Juggernaut farming, because I know that my Shadow Fiend and my PL is just going to farm. That means that I have to fight, which means it's really important for me to get a good early game. In some cases you have other heroes in your team that wants to be fighting, then maybe you just want to like try and screw over the enemy carry instead. But in games when you need to be the one that's like making space for a very long period of time, it's way more important that you get a good game yourself, even if that means the carry is also going to have a really free game. Because I'm playing against a lane that I know they can never kill me, but it's easy for them to harass me, I buy like Ring of Regen and Tangos. I think I'll keep sending out regen. In this case actually I buy boots, which makes it easier for me to keep farming. But I know I'm gonna keep sending out regen throughout the lane, because all they can do is harass me. I don't really need to worry too much about like getting killed or anything. I just need to be able to keep farming. That's the most important thing. Another thing to think about is like if your support is gonna rotate out from your lane, or if it's gonna gank. If I look at the top lane, I think this lane is pretty easy to gank. Lich Earth Spirit can like kill Chaos Knight together with Phantom Lancer, no problem. If I see mid, this lane is also like pretty easy to gank, and I know this guy, it's very hard for him to kill Juggernaut and Death Prophet. We're fighting a lot in the early game, and we actually managed to get a first blood, which is really good. But I think if you just look at the minimap, yeah, look, he goes mid, and then he stays mid for a very long period of time. He TPs top, like I'm left alone for a very long time. So it's good to like be able to try and figure out what's gonna happen before it happens, so that I can prepare with, I already have a bunch of regen, I have boots. I'm like in a position where I can play the game, because I expected him to leave me alone. Come mid-game in this game, as I predicted, I'm sure that my Shadow Fiend and Phantom Lancer is mostly going to be farming. This guy has finished Jules now, which means that he can still fight and he can like kill people. But it's not very easy for him to be in the front line, or for him to be the one that's like defending towers. I know that my PL is definitely going to farm for a very long time. He probably wants to finish like a Manta or maybe a Diffuser Blade before he joins this game. They have this AoE silence. They have like the stun from Windrunner, Batrider, which is going to try lasso him, and a bunch of stuff. So I know that my role is kind of just to defend towers and to be tanky. So by mech, I'm going to go Guardian Greaves. I know like I want them to go on me. I want to be able to dispel the silence from DP. I want to be able to dispel like stick and napalm stuff. As soon as they start pushing mid, I TP over and I tell my team like come and fight with me. It's very important that you communicate these things, so that you're not just going in alone and dying, I guess. I think being able to talk as an offlaner is probably like the most important thing as well for your games. Once again, like being in position for the enemy where they want to go and where they want to fight, especially in games like this when two of your other cores just want to farm, is really important. If I would have decided to stay top here, if I would be like, oh no, look, there's a lot of heroes mid, like I don't want to go here, that means that we would just lose this tower for free. They can go up in this jungle and farm. Eventually maybe they take Roshan a lot easier. It's like really important to try not give the enemy anything if you can defend it. Because of this good fight as well, we get like more time to farm. My PL has more space. He's not having that great of a game, you know, but if you skip ahead like 10 minutes later, he's probably one of the more farmed heroes. Okay, he's still not doing great, but that's more on the PL than on me. Anyway, like the point is that I know that once he gets items, we're gonna win this game. Like if PL gets 6 items, there's no way they kill him in this game. He's a lot stronger than anyone in their team. So all I need to do is just try and buy time. So I finish my Greaves, I even buy a cloak in order to just tank up. A lot of their damage is magic. On some heroes you can also think like, what is gonna kill me in this game? I know that it's not like Juggernaut or CK is not really gonna be the ones killing me. I know what I would die to is getting like blink lassoed by Batrider, or like getting a Windrunner that's gonna like shackle me and power shot me and hit me with Monkey King Board. So it's like good way to understand that the source of damage that's killing me is magic. Even though they have a lot of physical damage, these heroes are not the ones that's gonna be killing me. My game plan for like the late game in this game is pretty much only to stun the enemy. I guess it sounds a little bit simple, but SF and PL, they have no lockdown of their own. I mean, he has a slow with the Fusel and he has his like Yules, but realistically in a team fight these two heroes have no stuns. My Lich is probably gonna die as he has no items, and my Earth Spirit hopefully stays alive, but is also having a pretty bad game. So I know like it's important for me to be able to keep, I guess, doing lockdown or to keep stunning the enemy so that we can do damage to them. If the Jug and the Windrunner are never getting stunned, that means they can always just run away and like kite my Shadow Fiend and my PL, which I don't want to happen. So I also buy Blink, and I think in pretty much every late game team fight that we take, if I can find one, like here, I know that I'm like going in, or at least not in this case unfortunately, but I try and be the one that goes in first with my Blink. To summarize this episode, I think you can break it into three things, like the early game and the mid game and the late game. And you want to think about what it is you need to do well in all these parts of the game. For the early game, you kind of just need to think about your lane. Like, is my support going to stay with me? Is he going to rotate? Are people going to come to my lane? Are they going to kill me? Like, am I going to farm? Etc, etc. There's like a lot of things. Like, is their support going to harass me? Or is it like going to be a very, like a weak lane? A lane that I'm going to be killing? Depending on all these things, you want to decide what items you buy and how you like play. Because I knew that I was going to be left alone and it's just a harass lane. It's very easy for me to just buy a bunch of regen and farm, and I'm really happy. Some games, instead of buying regen, maybe I want to buy like Wraith Bands and turn into a carry on Pangolier because I'm playing against, let's say, an anti-mage who in this case is going to burn my mana, but if I buy a lot of stats, I can fight him back. And that's like my way of winning the lane. And then you want to think about your mid game, like what it is you want to be doing, farming, defending towers. If you want to play safe, if you want to play aggressive. In this game we win just by farming, so I know that all I want to do is defend. In other games you want to be the one that's being on the aggression and taking enemy towers and taking map control. And then come late game, you just want to think like, kind of like, what's my position, what do I need to be doing in order to have the most impact. In this game it's just literally stunning the enemy and staying alive. So I just buy auras and I buy a blink so I can stun as much as I can and try not to die. I know that my 2 cores are going to deal a bunch of damage, so I don't need to like worry about buying any damage items. I don't need to worry about like getting a lot of farming myself. I just need to buy time and make sure that they can do whatever they want. If you end up not having a game plan for a game, it's important to know that you should trust your team in a way. If you're feeling lost, you kind of just need to rely on that your team will carry you. I think it's the most important thing is to not die, to play safe, not take any risks. I think if you know what you're doing and you're confident, I'm all for taking risks and making big plays. But if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a game plan, it's all about playing safe. So in the early game, that for example means like not dying in the lane, maybe missing a few creep kills is not the biggest deal, making sure that you always have regen. I think if you're like running out of regen, you're pretty useless in the lane, so that's one thing. I think in the mid game that means like instead of maybe pushing out lanes a lot or going for a lot of crazy smoke moves, you just play defensive, you stay behind. Maybe you're like sitting behind an enemy or just like sitting next to your carry that's farming. You know, it's not great, but at least it's not bad. A lot of ways that people lose games, I think, is that they do moves or they do plays that are bad. I think that's like worse than doing nothing. At least doing nothing is not good, but it's not bad. And I think in the late game that also means just staying with your team. Like if you don't really know what you're doing, you don't have a game plan, all you need to do is to stay with your team, stay safe, like stay together. Like just make sure that you at least get your spells off. It's like very basic, just use all your spells, try not to die before you use all your spells, make sure that you stay with your team and that you don't die alone.